Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Christopher Finlayson.
It's always my unhappy duty to follow Mr Horomia when he's been speaking in the House. He has a bit of liberty with great oratory and great insights, and I truly do respect him. My task is a little more formal. I have to, this morning, read into the formal record of the House, or Hansard, the details of the settlement, and it's important that we record the settlement and how we got there for all time. So on 5 November 2011, I attended the signing of the deed of settlement at Okahu Bay, and in 1 year the bill has been introduced. It's been considered by the Māori Affairs Select Committee, and today is now being read for a third time by Parliament. As I said in the Ngāti Manuhiri bill, I acknowledge the cross-party support, the good work of the Select Committee, and the commitment of Parliament to extend sitting hours, and that these things have all ensured that these two treaty bills have been accorded the priority that they deserve. Mr Speaker, this bill settles the treaty grievances of Ngāti Whātua Orākei. In the bill, the Crown formally acknowledges its breaches of the treaty, it offers an apology and provides cultural and commercial redress. Ngāti Whātua, in their own words, acknowledge that full restitution for their loss is not possible, but they've negotiated in good faith to get the best deal for future generations. The long-standing historical grievances of this iwi are set out in the historical account in the deed. In March 1840, Ngāti Whātua chiefs signed the treaty, and from that time committed themselves to working closely with the new settler government. In September 1840, Ngāti Whātua Orākei offered to transfer around 3,500 hectares to the Crown to provide a site for the proposed capital. As the historical account describes, Ngāti Whātua and the Crown entered the transaction with a view to a mutually beneficial and enduring relationship. However, the short story is that the relationship between Ngāti Whātua and the Crown failed to live up to its promise. Within 2 decades, Ngāti Whātua were rendered virtually landless. With landlessness came poverty and marginalisation within the growing settler community in Tāmaki. It's historically significant that for the latter part of the 19th century and for much of the 20th century, the marae and kainga at Orākei was the only permanent Māori presence on the Tāmaki Isthmus. And it's a testament to the resilience and determination of this great iwi that the community survived. Another historically significant feature of Ngāti Whātua is its leadership. 19th century rangatira stand tall as Māori who sought to bridge the divide between Māori and Pākehā. But their engagement with settlers did not mean assimilation. Between the late 1870s and 1880s, a series of parliaments were held in the Kaipara and at Orākei, at which Ngāti Whātua leaders raised concerns about the effects of land alienation and requested a greater involvement in government. This history of measured and principled protest carried into the 20th century, and Mr Horomia and Dr Sharples have referred to the 506-day occupation at Bastion Point, which changed the face of race relations in New Zealand forever. Honi Haraweru was telling me last night about some of the protesters and where they are now. Senior civil servants, leaders of their iwi, members of Parliament. At the Tararawa settlement, Hone spoke about the importance of protest, and he's absolutely right. My only request to him is please don't protest against me. The negotiations for the deed of settlement took about 13 years to complete. They began in 1999 and terms of negotiation were signed in May 2003. 3 years later, in June 2006, Ngāti Whātua Orākei and the Crown signed an agreement in principle. However, negotiations were suspended for shared interests of the 12 other iwi in Tāmaki to be accommodated. I certainly want to acknowledge Sir Douglas Graham because he's worked very hard over a number of years with Michael Drever, my chief Crown negotiator, to work out a framework for how all iwi in the Tāmaki region may negotiate with the Crown for settlement of their grievances. That's how the Tāmaki Collective was established, and Ngāti Whātua Orākei have played a significant role in that collective. Their deed of settlement, as I said, was signed on 5 November 2011, and contained in that deed provisions for protocols by various ministers, including the Minister of Conservation, the Minister for Arts, Culture and Heritage, and numerous other ministers. The financial and commercial redress consists of $18 million in financial redress, less $2 million, which was provided in 1993 for the railway settlement, and various other commercial redress, and others have mentioned the Defence Force site at Narrowneck. When I was preparing this third reading speech, I was wondering what to say about Narrowneck and the meeting I attended one Saturday morning. There is in fact much I could say about Narrowneck and those who opposed this aspect of the settlement. I've reflected long and hard on it, but decided to adopt an approach of the less said the best said, simply endorse what Mr Horomia has said this morning. Today is a day for unity and optimism, not criticism and discord. I acknowledge Joe Hawke, who's here in the chamber today. I'll have something more to say about him shortly. The late Sir Hugh Kāwharu, all former board members, Grant, and so many others who have worked so very hard to reach this day. I also acknowledge David Williams of the Law School at Auckland University, Graham Horsley and Tiwana Tibble for their long service and dedication to the vision which was set by Ngāti Whātua Orākei. Mr Speaker, a significant portion of the redress focuses on Defence Force land, and I certainly want to thank the former MP for North Shore and Minister of Defence, Wayne Mapp, for his help in progressing this aspect of the settlement. I had one conclusion prepared for my third reading speech, but the rules of Parliament are that the Minister in charge of the bill can't be present in the House if another minister's speaking, so I was waiting in the lobby until Dr Sharples concluded so that he could speak and then I would be able to come in. And as it turned out, I decided to have a look at Hansard, and I read Joe Hawke's maiden speech, and it had a fantastic conclusion that I'm going to read into the record one more time. For those of you who are interested in such things, it's reported in volume 558 of Hansard at page 186, and I don't think he could say it better himself. He ended with a quotation from Pope John the 23rd, which had been used to sum up the Ngāti Whātua case to the tribunal, and this is what the Pope said. One thing is clear beyond dispute. Any attempt to check the vitality and growth of racial minorities is a flagrant violation of justice. The more so if such exertions are aimed at their extinction. And then Joe went on to say, indeed, the best interests of justice are served by those public authorities who do all they can to improve the human conditions of the members of minority groups, especially in what concerns their language, their culture, their ancient traditions, and their economic activity and enterprise. Mr Speaker, I couldn't say it better myself, because in a true bipartisan way, since Matt Rata set up the tribunal in 1975, governments of all persuasions have been working to achieve that end, and I truly hope and pray that today we've reached such a conclusion for the great Ngāti Whātua Orākei.
I call Whātua